Okay, so after you take the rear wheel out, first thing you need to do is to take the disc out, and that's important because you don't want to put any pressure on the disc, and this disc is if you bend it you can't fix it anymore. So just put it aside with the screws. Next thing, we need to remove this from the shaft, and I'm using these pliers. So just insert it in, and that should be relatively easy. And if you don't have the tool, you gotta just fiddle around with it. So a few methods to take the shaft out of the ball bearings here. The correct one is using a press. That's how and they do it in the shops and so forth. You can use a hammer, or you can basically use some sort of hydraulic effect or sets of screws to take it out. Hammer, it might damage it because of the the pressure won't be consistent, but we'll see what's the best way. Alright, so I just forgot to mention there is another one of these on the other side. Just make sure you remove that and don't lose it. So that's what it is. So you take them out from both sides. What I'm gonna actually use here, I'm just gonna use a hammer actually, and for consistent pressure, I'm just gonna use put a timber on top of it and try to smack it out. Yep, that was relatively easy. So it came out with the ball bearing as well. The other side. So to take the ball bearing from this side and take it out, I can just use a bigger shaft or whatever you have, piece of metal, put it there, and look, here it's coming out. Yeah. Okay. So the existing ball bearing, the one that I have in there, it's not that bad, but I've done over 3,000 kilometers on it, so it's better to change it. Take this one out. I simply put it here. Yep. Easy. So the shaft is out. Put these two ball bearings. I bought these Japanese Nashi or Nachi ball bearings, and the size for the rear is, so for the ball bearing sizes that are standards, the size is 6001, and the Nashi one is 2NSE, or the code that is used on the ball bearing, on the original ball bearing, it says 6001 2RS, and the 2RS stands for the sealing type. When you have 2RS, that means it's sealed on both sides. So you better get that. For the front one, I'll show you, it has a different code. So 6001 2RS, the Nashi one is 6001 2NSE. cm. So yep, the same size, and they move much more fluidly, and they have much less tolerance. I mean, the moving on sides, these basically wobble a bit. To clean the shaft, I'm just gonna use a bit of WD-40. Let it sit a few seconds and clean it up. Okay. So it's a good practice to apply some grease on it. That's time to put these back in. It's gotta be gentle with these because sometimes they fly and it's hard to find them always. That's in. So I've taken the front wheel out, and any sort of maintenance or bearing replacement on the front wheel is a bit tricky because the hub motor is there. But I mean, taking the wheel out, it's relatively easy for both for front and back. Basically, you gotta get rid of the reflective cover, which is it's here, the red one, the 4 screws, open those on each side, and then that's the easy bit. 2 screws. I mean, it's 1 screw on each side. The 2 screws you take it out. Now, the tricky bit is here. So let's just make sure we got it. Okay. So first you take the cover out. What you see is a brushless motor. A brushless motor, it doesn't have any brushes because the commutation and everything is done within the stator, and that's the stator. So this has a lot of magnets around it, very strong magnets. So to pull this out, you basically got to push it against those magnetic forces. So I'm using this cord to pass it inside the. It's a heavy one. You see these 3 basically crosses holding the stator. So you want to put the cords around it so you have something to grab on to pull it out. trying to upgrade their scooter, or let's say they motors, they dip this into some sort of resin for waterproofing. I think that's what they're doing. This is completely wrong. These things where they designed, the number of things are considered. First thing, the most important thing is heat management. When you put all these resins around this and soak it in, this thing, the way it dissipates heat, it will be completely different to what it was before. So if they haven't done that originally, that means they haven't considered the design. So you shouldn't do that either. Otherwise, you're going to keep running the motors hotter and hotter, and you reduce the life, because all these wirings, they have a life and they're rated for certain temperature and current. So let's keep this here. What we're interested is this bit, the ball bearing here. And as you can see, all the magnets around here. The casing is a cast aluminum, so you gotta be gentle on it when you're taking the ball bearing out. And in my case, I actually changed the front and rear wheel with the solid tires, because I was sick of fixing the tubes. It's much worse, the ride. You feel every bump in the road, and as a result there will be a lot of vibration experienced by the scooter itself, which is not designed to. And I noticed that after I changed to solid tires, front and back, I had some issues with the batteries. I had to open it up and fix the cracks and stuff in it. But yep, so I'm going to use the same shaft. Put it here, and yep. So again, I bought a set of Japanese ball bearings. You can get these Chinese one for a couple of bucks, but I've got these Japanese ones, Nachi one. The number on this is 6002 RS. So it's not the 2RS, is just the RS. But the one I bought is the 6002 NSB, which is the sealed one. Okay, let's clean it up. Planning to replace the old ball bearings, especially the one on this side. You need to disconnect the wire internally, and for that you need to open this up. So I recommend opening this up first and disconnecting it, so this will be, you can take the wire out and work on that much easier. All the screws are out, so take this out. This is the original plastic cover. So see if I can zoom in. As you can see here, to take these out, it's just spade plugs, yellow, brown and blue, and also there is this control Okay. It's interesting. I think they sprayed these what do you call, foamy material to reduce the vibration. Gentle. Okay, so the motor hub is out. Another interesting thing I noticed, do you see the discoloration on this plastic sleeve? That means high temperature, and the reason behind that is this wire probably didn't have a good contact with the spade connector. What you can do, you can solder it on, and that will give it a much better contact. So 6002 RS. So it was easy. The rear one is 6001, front 6002, and I recommend getting a good brand. You know, take all the effort to take it out, and the time you spend, you better put a good product in. Other thing is, what we're gonna do after we clean this up, all around this area we're gonna apply a bit of silicone to seal it in. Having said that, again, this scooter is not designed to ride in the rain. It's okay for a bit of a splash or something, but it's not for riding in the rain. And this siliconing, it doesn't give you that full protection. It's just to take the dust and moisture out. And okay, so this cover that I was talking about for the charger, mine was just got ripped from here, and I had to replace it because it's very important, the dust cover. And the one that I bought, it looks exactly like the original, but it's not anywhere as good or functional as the original. So it just sits there flapping, because it doesn't matter how hard you try to put it in, it's not made for this. I mean, it's a bit bigger, so I tried like grinding a bit or cutting all around it to make it smaller, but still it's not easy. Like it takes a few push, and as you can see, it's not sitting well. So with any other parts as well, that's what I heard, they're not as good as the original one. Okay, just a bit of soldering. I'm gonna apply a bit of flux here, because these wires are marine grade, and we need to apply some flux so the soldering will stick to it easy.